Hi friends, welcome to QApedia and this is our blog qapedia.com. Today the topic that we are going to discuss is requirement and requirement document, and the subtopics that we will discuss are what is a requirement, what is a requirement document, what is a business requirement document, what is a business requirement, example of a business requirement, what is a functional requirement document, what is functional requirement, example of a functional requirement, difference between functional and business requirement. Why should we create a requirement document? And then summary of the session and then question for the session. So these are the subtopics and topics that we are going to discuss in today's session. So let's start. Requirement and requirement document. What is a requirement? So whenever we do software testing for any project, then we need to understand that what do we test actually in a software. And the answer is we generally do testing of functionalities of software. Okay. And these functionalities are documented in a document, and that document is called a requirement document. Okay. So the document name is requirement document. And what are we documenting? We are documenting functionalities in that. So these functionalities can also be called as requirement. Okay. So these functionalities are also called requirement. So we can say that the functionalities of a software is called requirement. Okay. And this was the question, what is a requirement? So the answer is functionalities of a software is called requirement. Okay. If we want to understand requirement in normal English word, then it is nothing but demand or need. Like we need something, or we have a demand of something. That thing is also called a requirement, and it is a normal English word. So let's understand this with an example. Okay. So let's take an example of an e-commerce website where we place orders using credit card payment type. And let's say we are not able to place orders using credit card payment type, but there is no other payment type in the website. Okay. Then what is going to happen? Customers will not be able to place orders, and then company will have big losses due to this. And we would need so what will happen that we will need that there should be some other payment type as well, some other payment method as well. Okay. So business will if some other payment type is available, then what will happen? Business will not face this problem again, and then the company will not face some losses due to this. Okay. So what is going to happen? A new demand for adding a new payment method such as cash on delivery or PayPal. There will be two payment method, PayPal and cash on delivery. This kind of payment method should be added. So this demand will be raised. Okay. And the business team will have to understand this demand, and then they will need to create a requirement for this demand. Okay. So this particular thing is called as requirement. Okay. We have understood with the example that any new demand or new need is called requirement. Now, after seeing this example, we can say that we were having a problem, that we had only one payment type, that is credit card, and because of this sometimes it won't work, and we might face some losses. So this is a problem, and we have to provide some solution. And what is that solution? That solution is adding a new payment type such as cash on delivery or PayPal. So we are giving solution to a problem. So requirement can also be defined as a solution to an existing problem. Okay. And this is what a requirement is. Okay. So now let's see what is requirement document. Okay. In our earlier example, we have discussed about requirements. Okay. So we have understood what is a requirement. Now these requirements needs to be documented somewhere. We have to document these requirements somewhere. Okay. And wherever these requirements are documented, that is called requirement document. Okay. So we can say a document that captures and describes all the requirements of a project is called requirement document. And there are two types of requirement documents where we will cover these where we'll document these requirements. And those two types of requirement documents are business requirement document, which is called BRD, and functional requirement document, which is called FRD in short. Now let's see what is a business requirement document. Okay, business requirement document is a document where business requirements are documented. That means any formal document that captures and describes all the business requirements of a project is called business requirement document. Then the question comes, what is a business requirement? So let's understand this. Any requirement that is related to the business of an organization or company is called business requirement document. So any requirement which is related to the business, okay, is called as business requirement document. And we have to understand this with an example of a business requirement. Okay, so until we see the example, we will not be able to understand. So let's see the example of a business requirement. So let's see the example. Let's take an example of a bank which does not have any online access directly to the customer. Okay, that means the bank is operating completely in offline mode. So if you have to do account opening, or you have to transfer funds, or you have to do money withdrawal, or you want to get the bank statement, or if suppose you have to do some check deposit. So all these things if you have to do, then what will happen? You will have to go to bank. Customer has to go to bank. Suppose he has customer has to do account opening, then customer has to go to bank, fill an offline form, submit the xerox of the photo ID and address proof, and then only the account can be opened. Okay, suppose customer has to do transfer funds, same thing, customer has to go to bank, submit a request for transfer offline, and the bank employee will do it. Then money withdrawal, customer will have to go to bank, submit a request for withdrawal, and the cashier will give the money to customer. If customer wants to get the bank statement, then customer has to go to bank along with the passbook and hand it over to bank employee, and then they are going to print the bank statement. If suppose you have to do check deposit, then customer will have to go to bank, they have to deposit the check to the bank employee, and then they'll get the cash, or they can get the money to be transferred to their bank account. Okay, so we have some disadvantages of offline banking. Whenever a bank is operating in offline mode, then we have some disadvantages. Okay, and let's see those disadvantages. Limited access, long wait times, limited services, security risk, inconvenient location, and limited support. Okay, now let's say limited access. So bank is operating in offline mode. So what will happen? Customer will have to visit bank branch for each and everything. We have to go to bank branch only. Okay, branch, and we have to go there during business hours only. Okay, and it's not always convenient for us, or it's not always accessible for us to go during business hours. We might have some other tasks as well. Then long wait time. So when we visit a bank branch, then we have to for a very long time to get our tasks done, because there will be lots of people who will be there in bank already, and they will be waiting in queue. Then limited services. So you see, offline banking does not offer all types of services which are available in online banking. Okay, in online banking you can check your balance online on your own. You can do fund transfer on your own. You can get the bank statement on your own. You can pay your electricity bills and everything on your own. And many types of online services are there where your life becomes very easy, and you don't need to depend on bank employee every time. Then security risk is also there. So if suppose we have lost one of our check from our checkbook, and if any of the transaction is done by somebody else by copying our signature, then we might lose our money, and that's a big security risk for us. Okay, these kind of problems might happen during offline banking. Then inconvenient location. So banks will not have branches in all the locations of a city or in all the locations of a country. So what happens if suppose the locations are not there, if location is not there, or the location is not accessible for us, then it becomes very difficult for us or for a customer to go to those particular area where the bank branch is located. Okay, so because of this also we face a lots of issues. Then limited support. Offline banking will not offer all types of customer support. Like 24 by 7 call center support is only possible in online banking. But if the bank is operating in offline mode, then this service will not be provided. And what will happen if suppose we have any banking issue or any question, then it becomes very difficult for us to get help with bank because they don't have any call center. Now, because of all the above limitations and disadvantages, bank will have huge losses in its business. Okay, so what bank will do? They want to sustain in the market. So bank will try to improve its process and then they will try to overcome all the above limitations in their new business model. They will adopt a new business model. So bank will try to overcome all the above limitations in the new business model and then they will come up with some new business points, some new points they'll come up. Okay, so those points could be like long wait times should be reduced or removed in the services of new business models. So we should reduce this long wait time. Customers should not have limited access, but they should have access to all the important information. Important information such as check your balance on your own, check your account statements. You can get the account statements on your own, and you can do fund transfer on your own. Then customers should be provided online services. Okay, services which are operating in offline mode should go to online mode. Customers should be provided more services. Customer dependency on the bank employee and branches should be reduced, and customers should get 24 by 7 support. So these all the points that we have seen just now, these points are called business requirement. Okay, this uh, long wait time should be reduced, customer should not have limited access, and customer should get 24 by 7. These all the points that we have seen, these points are called as business requirement. Now if suppose we are documenting it somewhere, then the document will call business requirement document. Okay, so this is about business requirement and BRB. Now by seeing that example that we have seen just now, we can say that business requirement is why and what of a project. Business requirement is about why and what. What means what do we need? So we will need some new features. And why means why do we need these features? Okay. Now if you want to understand what and why, then we can take one example. Okay, one example we can take. We can take this example. Long wait times should be reduced. Fine. So we want a new feature. Okay, so that we can reduce the long wait time. So what do we want? We want a new feature. And why do we want? So that we can reduce the long wait time of the customer. And then if long wait times are reduced or queues are not there, then the workload on the bank employee also will be reduced. This is the reason why do we want it. So see, whenever customer will come to bank for any kind of request like deposit, withdrawal, check deposit, bank statement or anything, they will have to wait in a long queue if suppose bank is operating in offline mode. So we want to reduce the long wait time. That's why we need these features, and the workload of the bank employee also should be. That's why we need these features. Okay, so this is about business requirement. The business requirement is about what and why. Now let's see what is a functional requirement document. So functional requirement document is a document where functional requirements are captured or documented. That means any formal document that captures and describes all the functional requirements of a project is called functional requirement document. Okay, so then the question comes, what is a functional requirement? So let's see this. So what is functional requirement? In the above example, we have seen business requirements. We have captured all the business requirements. So now because we have business requirement with us already, so we need to find out how should we implement these business requirement. Okay, how should we implement? And then comes the role of functional requirement. So functional requirement is the answer. How are we going to implement business requirement? So we can say functional requirement are the implementation of business requirement. Okay, and we can say that business requirement is all about what and why, but functional requirement is all about how. Okay, functional requirement is the implementation of business requirement. So functional requirement is how of a project. Business requirement is what of a project. Functional requirement is how of a project. Now, if we want to understand functional requirement, then we have to see the example of functional requirement. Then only we can easily understand what is the functional requirement. So functional requirements are derived from business requirement. So the example of functional requirement also will be derived from the example of business requirements. Okay. What were the example of business requirement? Reduce long wait time, remove limited access issue, provide online services, reduce dependency on bank, and customer should get 24 by 7 support. Okay, these are some business requirement. So business requirement, implementation of business requirement is functional requirement. So we have to understand how to implement these. If you want to implement this particular thing, then we can provide some online services to the customer, such as account information online, fund transfer online, account statements online, ATM for cash withdrawal, online payment systems like credit card, debit card, online banking, UPI, so that customer does not need to come to bank and customer does not need to wait in long queue. Okay, so reduced long wait times will be resolved by providing online services. Fine. So this is a functional requirement. Online services like account information online, fund transfer, these are functional requirement. Limited Remove limited access issue. So if we want to remove this, again same thing, we have to provide online services to the customer, same services that we have discussed already. So what will happen? The limited access issue will be resolved. Customer will not have limited access, customer will have access to more services which bank is providing. Provide online services. So customer face a lots of issues when the bank is operating in offline mode. So customer should be provided the online services so that those issues can be reduced, and the online services will be the same: account information online, fund transfer online. Then reduce dependency on the bank. Now we customer dependency on the bank employees and the branches should be reduced. We want to reduce this dependency. So what can we do? We can implement this by providing 24 by 7 ATM cash withdrawal. Cash withdrawal can be done anytime, at any point of time you can do it by ATM. So you don't need to visit bank, you don't need to be dependent on the bank. Apart from this, online bank statement, you can access it anytime. Online fund transfer, you can do it anytime. So if these type of services will be provided, then the dependency on bank anyway will be reduced. The third one, the last one is customer should get 24 by 7 support. So if suppose you want to provide 24 by 7 support to the customer, then bank will provide 24 by 7 call center services. And call center services are for resolving the issues. Customer can reach out to call center representative of the bank just by calling them. No need to visit the call center. Just call them, tell your issue, and then the issue will be resolved. Okay, just by calling them. So this is also 24 by 7 support, which is always open, and we don't need to visit the bank also. Apart from that, online services anyways 24 by 7 it will be available. So if online services are provided like account information online, fund transfer and all, so this way also 24 by 7 support will be given to the customer. So if we want to implement the business requirements, then we can introduce below functional requirements. Okay, first is providing account information online. If the account information is online available, customer does not have to come to bank and no need to wait for long times for account information just to get the account information. Providing fund transfer. So if this is provided online, customer can do fund transfer on his own, or he can do it himself or herself to any of the friends or relatives. Account statement. Account statement is if it is available online, then just to get the statement we don't need to visit bank. Cash withdrawal using ATM. So ATMs are 24 by 7 available. We don't need to wait for bank to open. We don't need to go to bank even if bank is open. So this is also a very good facility which is 24 by 7 available. Online payment system. So if suppose online payment systems are available like credit cards, debit cards, online banking and UPI, we don't need to carry cash always, because carrying cash is also a security risk for us. So we don't need to carry cash, and then these payment types are secure also. So this type of payment types providing payment types also improve our bank performance. Bill payment online. We can pay our bills online like electricity bills, directly from our bank account. We don't need to visit the electricity department for bill payment. Just we have to do the payment online. If suppose in our earlier system we have to go to electricity department, and before that we need to withdraw our cash also. We don't need to do all this now. We can directly pay it from our bank account. Alerts and notifications. So whenever we are doing some transaction activity, like we are depositing some amount or we are withdrawing some amount, at that time alerts and notifications should be received. We can receive this kind of service will be provided, so we will always be aware how much our balance is. Setting up auto payment. So the bills that we pay, electricity bills and credit card, as we know that we are going to pay it always every month, we can set up automatic payment for that. And 24 by 7 customer support. So if suppose call center services provided, then we can access this 24 by 7 customer support by using online chat, or many more things are available, like call center services also will be available. And 24 by 7 support will be there because online payments are also there. We can do our payments at any point of time. Difference between functional and business requirement. So some main differences are here: functional and business requirement. Business requirement is about what and why of a project. Functional requirement is about how of a project. Business requirement covers the high level objective and goals of a project from business point of view. And functional requirement, it specifies the features and functionality which should meet with the business requirement. Any business requirement that we have created, for that business requirement, how are we going to implement? So what features and functionalities are we going to provide for that particular business requirement? That is functional requirement. Business requirements are non-technical and they focus on providing solution to customers' problem. And functional requirements are technical and they focus on how the solution should be provided. Okay. Implementation, how? Fine. So these are the main differences between functional and business requirement. Why should we create a requirement document? So creating a requirement document is very important for the successful development and implementation of a project. So here are some benefits of creating a requirement document. So requirement document helps in providing a clear communication between all the project teams, like business analysts, client, testers, developers, and all these people should be informed properly, and then all those people should be there in the same page. They should have the same information. Then requirement document lists out all the challenges that the customer is currently facing. Then requirement document lists out all the solutions that we are going to provide for those particular challenges. Requirement document is always created for a new project. Okay, so the solutions that we provide are new functionalities for the new project. Okay, and whenever we implement a new project, then there will be some risk while implementing those new features and or the new project. So requirement document consists of all the risk also, the risk which is involved. So we have to do the risk mitigation also. So risk mitigation is also consist in the requirement document. Requirement document also consists of the risk and the risk mitigation while implementing those new project. Now, we don't have only one requirement or only one feature when we implement a new project. There will be many requirements, right, that we need to implement. So that's why we need to document them so that we can track them whenever we need them. These are the 5 benefits of a requirement document. That's why we should create a requirement document. Now let's see the summary of the session. So we have covered some topics in the session, like what is requirement document, what is business requirement document, what is a business requirement. Then we have seen example of business requirement. Then what is a functional requirement, then what is a functional requirement document, an example of functional requirement, then difference between functional and business requirement, and lastly we have seen why should we create a requirement document. So these are the topics that we have covered in this session today. The question for the session is, so let's take a scenario for a retail store of grocery where the grocery store is becoming famous day by day, and there are many customers who are coming to the store, and it's very difficult for the owner of the store to handle all the customers using a single store. Okay, then what do you suggest the retail store owner should do in order to increase its business? Whether he should open more stores, or single store itself is enough, or what should be done by the by the store owner? So what should be the business requirement and the functional requirement if the owner wants to adopt a new business model? So if the owner wants to adopt a new business model, then what should be that business model, and what should be the business and functional requirement in that business model? Those things you need to comment in the comment section, or you can try practicing it, find it out how, what type of business and functional requirement should be there. Okay, so that's it for the session. And if you want to get the notes for the session, you can go to this complete blog and get the notes for the session. So thank you guys, thank you very much.